Of course, you can join us on X Spaces, on YouTube, on Facebook. Right here, this is JoyNews, independent, fearless, and credible. And that was put to the test today. The multimedia group has condemned the assault on JoyNews journalists by military men during a live coverage of a demolition exercise on the Spinters Road. The armed military officers obstructed JoyNews' Carlos Caloni from covering the exercise and physically assaulted a civilian who was speaking to the journalists at the scene. Mr. Caloni was taken into custody by operatives from the National Security Bureau and his mobile phone and others confiscated. The exact circumstances surrounding the incident remain unclear. It is still unknown what triggered the confrontation, but the development has raised fresh concerns over the safety of journalists in line of duty, especially here in Ghana. Now, this is what ensued this morning.
What's happening? What's happening?
Before I see, they bring soldier people for here.
Around what time?
Around 6:20.
That was on when?
Is it Thursday or some? It was Tuesday.
I'm a pressman. Yes.
What are you doing here?
He's an eyewitness.
What are you?
Oh! What's happening? What's happening? They are pressmen. No, but the way he handled the machine can have an impact on it. We are here to report on what is happening. Yes, we are media men. Yes. We understand you are doing your work, but you cannot stop us from doing our work. Yes, respectfully. Yes. Okay. The media, we have to report what we are seeing. Respectfully.
You can report it.
Okay.
You should know why
The guy took the microphone. You see, my microphone is down. Yeah. Go there. Wait, stand up and go there.
Let me see.
He was just telling us.
He was having the microphone.
Yeah, that's all. Where does he stand up and go there? So who is your leader?
You approach the people ahead.
I'm coming. I hope the machine is gone. Let me see your boss. Take me to your boss.
Is the video that he said he's
Go to them there. They are ahead of us. So who is in charge?
You want to go there, you have to show you. Okay.
I said we should come with the camera.
Was telling me that we wanted to hide. I wanted to go and hide somewhere before they come back. Now the guy came. I did not listen to myself. If not, by now, like I'm hiding, having everything.
No, but we are.
No, they are going on there.
No.
There are some.
For now, we can't do any interview.
We can't do anything. We can't do anything. Charlie, hold the mic. Hey, where's the other microphone? I say no like my mother. You want me to beat me, eh? you want me to beat me?
Bring that phone. That phone is still giving you. Sorry. Oh, no. I'm sorry, we're using the phone.
No, other one. No. It's not recording. I'm just making a call.
They not be camera with this. Not be camera with this.
Now.
They not be camera with this. I tell you, just press the phone.
I was talking to my producer.
You are trying to be smartness, but I remember yes, sir. I'll slap you. Oh, don't slap him. This one be carrying video. I've slapped. This one not be carrying video. Go and join it. Go and join the car. Not be carrying video.
Let's go.
Go and join the car.
Where's the phone? I spoke to you.
Don't free yourself. Don't free yourself.
Please. I was talking to my producer.
I know the time you started it.
You see, I said I want to speak to your man. I was talking to my producer. And now, please.
What about this video? What about this video? Have you saw it? Don't try to be smartness. Come on, boy, don't know.
I am not part of this. I'm just a journalist to report on this matter.
Before I see, they bring soldier people for here. Around 6:20.
That was on when?
Is it Thursday or some? It was Tuesday.
I'm a pressman. Yes.
What are you doing here?
He's an eyewitness.
What are you
Oh.
Before I see, they bring soldier people for here.
Around what time?
Around 6:20.
That was on when?
Is it Thursday or some? It was Tuesday.
I'm a pressman. Yes.
What are you doing here?
He's an eyewitness.
What are you doing?
Right, so this is what happened this morning. This property, we are told, is sited on the Spinters Road, and it went through some kind of demolition. The demolition didn't start today. They've been on it for some time now, and so my colleague was assigned to cover up the demolition exercise, and what you saw is what ensued this morning. Later, all of them were taken to the office of the National Security, Blue Gate. Carlos Caloni, who was at the scene and subjected to some kind of physical attacks, joins me in the studio. So, Carlos, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And are you okay?
I'm largely okay.
So,
Traumatized.
if you can walk us through what happened when you got to the Spinters Road and what we saw on the television.
So we got there around, let me say, 7:38 thereabouts. So when we got there, there was no activity at all. So the frontage of the warehouse had been already pulled down, and we gave the update on TV. And few moments later, we saw a low bed brought in an excavator. Then we realized something was going to happen. So we perched there for some time, and few minutes later, the excavator started demolition. You know, the entire building was not demolished. It was just the frontage that had been demolished. So this new operator started, you know, demolishing the main structure itself. And so we gave the update also on television and tried to speak to the operator, but were not successful. Few minutes later, the owners of the property, the McDan Group, arrived. The CEO of the McDan Group, Kweku Amprofi, led a few people. There were about 4. They came there and then they went to ask the operator whether he had any license or any document showing that he had the power to actually pull down the building. He said no, he had no document. So they stopped him. They asked him to stop, and he actually stopped and brought the machine outside, parked there. And so they asked him to produce the person that asked him to come do the demolition. He could not. So they told him they were going to take him to the police So he would now bring the person that ordered him to carry out the demolition exercise. So that happened within like 10-15 minutes. We were there. And then I had this eyewitness who had witnessed what happened Monday night to tell us, what happened that Monday. So we fixed our cameras, started rolling.
So at the time, the military had not come?
No. At the time, from the time we got there, up to the point you saw the military man,
because I saw you on the AM show,
yes,
reporting live from the scene. At that time, it was only you.
Yeah.
And then on decks, that's where we saw you speak to this eyewitness, and
right,
then the intervention came in.
Yeah.
So from the time you were there around 8 on the AM show up until the time after 10 a.m., there was no military presence.
No military presence, no police, nothing. So the time you saw the military man attack the eyewitness was when they actually arrived. So we had no interaction with them prior to that interview. We were just rolling our interview. The only people who came before the military were the officers from Gov't Group. So the gentleman started speaking to us. Less than a minute, we heard sirens, and military men with guns, jumped off and came straight to us. And you saw what happened in the video. They started beating the...
But the claim is that, and from what we pick him, the national security operatives came in because they had information that some workers of Madam were in the process of stopping the demolition exercise.
Yes, so the Gov't Group, like I said, the CEO came in with 3 others, and they went to the operator of the excavator and asked. They wanted to see if you have any order from a court that mandates you to pull down the structure. And the operator said no. Then they asked, who sent you then? He could not even mention the name of the person that sent him to come do the demolition. He said he was picked up from a Ashaiman roundabout and brought here to the
the operator of the excavator.
Yes, he was brought in from Ashaiman to come carry out the demolition exercise, and he could not even mention the name of the person that contracted him to come do that. Then the CEO said, well, if you cannot produce the person that asked you to pull down the structure, then stop until you produce that person. Otherwise, we're going to bring in the police, we'll hold you, and for you to produce that person, then we find out from the person why you've asked this guy to pull down the structure. So at that point, we had no police, no military person. So that was when we got the eyewitness to now tell us the event of Monday. And he started less than a minute into the conversation. That was when the military people arrived. They arrived from both sides. If you know the stretch from the Action Chapel, from the Accra side, and also from the Flower Pot side. So they came from both ends. So there was no way anybody could have, escaped them, because if you went this way, you still will meet them. The other way, same. And those that came from the Flower Pot area actually attacked the eyewitness that was giving us an account of what had happened on Monday. And when they arrived, you saw in the video, I told them, I am a pressman.
Right.
So, and I raised my microphone for them to see that indeed we're not there doing something of Magdan. We're from a reputable media organization, JoyNews for that matter. And they saw it clearly that these actually are journalists. But of course, they went ahead to, assault us and all that.
And the guy, the eyewitness we spoke to, he was assaulted. And that's the eyewitness we have on the screens right now. And this is what transpired exactly when what Carlos is talking about. And as you see, the military officer assaulting this eyewitness, or the person that Carlos was speaking to. And the conversation was about getting to understand what had gone on.
Exactly. So he was giving us the account of what had happened on Monday. Because the Monday demolition happened under the cover of darkness. And this is one guy that lives around. So he was going to paint a picture, tell us exactly what happened on Monday.
And I'm finding it difficult to understand the reason why he was assaulted.
Yes, it's still not clear to us. So they said we could not film.
At the place?
At the place.
Is the place a designated security zone?
No, it's not a security zone. It's an open place.
Is it a private property or property belonging to the state?
No, it's not a property belonging to the state. For that, I cannot say, but it's a place that construction is ongoing. The building obviously has been pulled down. It's just by the road. the main road that leads to the Accra Mall area, and no signage there telling you that this is a security zone and you cannot film. And so we were not the only media people there. There were other journalists also who actually took to their heels, you know, but because we were the first people they encountered, we could not escape. Others managed to escape.
But personally, you as a reporter, did you suffer any assault?
Of course. In the process, first of all...
Because I heard somebody said, I will give you a slap. I don't know whether that particular comment was directed at you.
Yes, it was directed at me. In fact, I was punched
They accuse you of
from
filming
the back.
without their knowledge.
Yes. And by then, the CEO of Magdan Group and his 3 others were asked to kneel. So they were kneeling at gunpoint. And we tried to capture that moment. We could not. And so we left it. So they thought that we had captured that moment when Magdan, the CEO, was kneeling with his 3 others. By then, this eyewitness was also somewhere being beaten by other military people. Now, my cameraman did a very good work. Prior to where you saw that they were going to slap me, there was an officer behind him with a gun, preventing him from filming. So he was there, motionless, couldn't do anything. So if you saw the video that rolled earlier,
it was basically like on the ground.
Yes, the camera was actually on the floor, you know. So it was when he had some space and took the camera. That was when he was able to film what we are seeing now. So they thought that I was filming when I received a call from a producer to find out whether we're ready to go on air. So I had 2 phones. One, I was using my left hand to listen to communicate, and one was on my right. So then they thought with the right phone, I was filming. That was when they rushed. And if you listen to the conversation,
exactly,
they said I was filming.
It was at that point that the man said he was going to give you a slap.
Yes, and by the time I heard that, I had a punch from behind, heavy one, and I tried turning.
Did you see the person who
assaulted you? I saw his face when I went back to...
Civilian or military officer?
Military officer in military. But of course, many of them were masked.
So you couldn't see.
But for him...
You saw his face.
I saw his face.
You can identify him anytime.
Yes, at close range. He was just behind me. So when he gave me the second punch, I could not see. And it took me a few minutes to, regain myself. By then, my phones were taken. And the reason they did that was that Magdan and his people were kneeling. So they didn't want us to take any picture of that moment. And so they told me then I am now a suspect. And they took myself and the eyewitness that was talking to us, together with the CEO and 3 others, in different vehicles and whisked us to the National Security Head Office.
And on what grounds were you described as a suspect? Did they tell you the reason why they were arresting you?
Nothing. The only reason they gave was that I was filming secretly.
Okay. That's the reason why they took you to the office of the National Security.
That was what they said. I mean, when the altercation was going on. But when I got to the National Security Head Office, nothing like that was mentioned to me.
And what did they tell you when you got to the office?
Nothing. So they asked me what happened, and I told them my side of the story. And I met one Superintendent Suleimana at the National Security Head Office, and he listened to me. And he said, well, I should put some statements down. I declined because I was already traumatized, and told him we'll do the proper thing at the jurisdiction where the incident happened, which is the airport police station. Yeah.
And have you done that? Have you gone to formally report this matter to the police?
Of course, I have. I have formally gone to make that report. They've given me a medical form. I'm just returning from the hospital, and some x-rays are being taken, and from here, to go back to the hospital for them to look at my...
What about your driver and the camera person during the melee?
Right. So when this happened, I was taken. They were still at the scene. So by the time I returned, they had left. Okay. And the driver also had his phone with me, because at the point I was using his phone to communicate back to the producer. So his phone was with me, so it was difficult getting through to the driver also. We had a lot of challenge with regards to that.
All right.
Yeah.
So now, what are they saying? That do they need you back to assist in whatever investigation, if they are investigating anything at all?
Well, the police initially at the airport told me I would have to come back to go and help them look at the person who actually assaulted me to get that person arrested. And I told them that this is on tape, and the fact that they took me to the National Security Head Office or headquarters shows that we can really trace those people that were dispatched to the McDonald's facility, and they should line them up. We'll be able to identify those that actually assaulted us. And of course, in the video you saw, the military officer that first attacked the eyewitness, I think he had some mask on. Right. Yes, we can still identify that person.
And that, because all of you were taken to the Office of the National Security together with the officials of McDonald, I'm wondering whether you are aware of what happened to them.
I am not aware, but the initial conversation I had was that they were being charged for interfering in lawful demolition. But, you know, when we spoke to the CEO, he said they were yet to see any official document from those carrying out the demolition. But that was what I heard, and that was it. So I don't know whether they are still being kept there now or not. I was released. They gave me a pickup with 3 military personnel.
Back to the scene?
They drove me back to the scene.
To pick your vehicle?
Yeah, to pick my vehicle. And when I even got to the scene, I had my driver, you know, the multimedia driver's phone with me. And so they demanded to check the visuals on his phone. And I had to call because it was password locked.
Right.
Okay, so I had to call him to mention the password.
Before you could open the phone?
Yes, and then we opened it in the presence of about 7 military people with guns. And we opened it, they looked through, there were no videos, and they said I was safe. At the head office, the military head office, National Security, same happened. They went through my phones.
They didn't find any recording?
Any recording, yes, of such. So they really didn't want me to capture the moment where the CEO was kneeling, which was, I don't know, a bit demeaning because guns were pointed, you know, at him and his people.
All right, Carlos, we'll leave it here for that. That is your version. Well, the multimedia group has also condemned the incident. On your screen now is official statement that the company, you know, released after that particular incident. And let me just go over. The two were reporting live, as we heard Carlos say, from the scene when operatives believed to be from National Security and dressed in military uniform attacked them without provocation. Carlos was interviewing an eyewitness when officers pounced on the civilian, beating him and slapping him for speaking to the media. Now, Carlos was himself struck twice in the neck with a clenched fist by one of the officers. The statement again goes on to say that in a shocking escalation, the operatives pushed over the mounted camera, causing significant damage, seized Carlos' phones, and forced both him and his cameraman into a vehicle. They were driven to the National Security installation at Blue Gate, where they were detained. Their release came shortly after the personal intervention of the Minister for Interior, Alhaji Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak. Carlos' personal microphone was also damaged in the assault and is currently, as you heard him say, receiving medical attention. The entire episode was broadcast live. The footage we were able to capture during the skirmishes. Now, JoyNews condemns this act in the strongest terms. This is not only attack, according to the statement, on 2 of our journalists, but also a blatant affront to media freedom, the right to information, and the constitutional guarantee of free expression in Ghana. And the station is demanding an immediate and transparent investigation by state authorities, sanctions against the operatives involved, and it ends by saying that journalists must be allowed to work freely and safely. And the statement says, multimedia will not relent in our duty to inform the Ghanaian people. We will soon take you to Boko, but before we do that, let me take you to the office of the Governor of the Bank of Ghana. He is addressing a news conference on the Monetary Policy Committee.
George, yes. My name is George Yafe from Joy FM. Doc, in your recent commentary at one of the public engagements, you emphasized the point about data being the guide to whatever that is done, and even commentary on the Ghana city. With respect to your 300 basis point cut, how did the data on the ground in terms of liquidity projections, in terms of inflation, guide this action? Because some would argue that you look at the OMO bills, you look at T-bills, you look at the other instruments on the market, they are all in the teens, but you still have the rates being dropped to 25%. Is the committee seeing something that everyone is not seeing when everybody in the business space and even when government think that the rate should have gone down further by what we are seeing? And also, what is the latest, Doc, on the with respect to the gold prices, the hedging? If you do a little bit of extrapolations and forecasts, the argument is that gold prices could be dropping and how that could impact on our reserve buildup. What is the latest on these reserves? And cocoa prices too, we've seen some blips as well. Thank you.
I think with George is buy one, get two free. So that will end this session. Governor,
okay, so first one by Echo. Yes, you're right. Apart from debt GDP ratio, there are other ratios that tell the story better. I can give you some examples. The revenue over debt service, export over debt service, and the likes. Net present value of debt over GDP. There are several of them. You can refer to those. Yet, I am sure that all of them will indicate that some progress is being made. Then, Maurice, consistent drop in private sector credit. Yes, it's a trend that has been seen, not just now. It's something that has been going on for some time now. As a matter of fact, if you take private sector credit as a ratio of GDP and you compare Ghana to its peers, even in the sub-region, we appear to be lagging behind. And that underscores some of the things we are trying to do since we came into office. We want to see a transition into a regime where credit becomes the main, area of focus for banks because they are financial intermediaries. That is what they are supposed to do. Take money from savers, make it available from users. And from the details are provided, we are well on course to get into that regime. Hopefully, we will begin to see an increase in private sector, credits as soon as we get there. We expect inflation to decline further going forward. Already, treasury bill rates, have declined. And as inflation goes down, we made it clear in the statement, it will also follow through with further declines if we see that trend continue. Then gold board pricing. So what happens is the gold board is the sole, purchaser of gold currently. They use a number of variables, which includes the exchange rate. Now, what gold board is doing is they are using the interbank rate. Whereas you have other players, private sector players that were in the business, they use all kinds of rates. And remember, they are able to do that because some of them engage in active, gold trading. What that means is they are able to purchase above even world market prices because they are able to, stock, they are able to target the market. Even though they purchased above world market price today, they know when to sell so that they make, returns. However, the gold board basically, operates in the spot market, And therefore, you will see that divergence. They are supposed to purchase using the interbank rate, and therefore you see their pricing, falling lower than what the other players would provide. Then, just to clarify, I did not say that we purchase gold from mining firms. Yes, we purchase from them, we put it in our reserves. But what I was referring to was that is the FX that we are interested in from mining firms. They sell these to us, and we use all that to support our reserves, as well as supporting the market when the need arises. George, you asked about the data based upon which this decision was taken. As you know, and as you are well aware, the MPC, since Monday, has gone through a lot of data. We've had to pour through a lot of presentations, you name them, from the real sector to the external sector, to inflation outlook, to the monetary sector, confidence surveys, more or less all the basic data you need to be able to make those decisions. They've gone through all that. They've also outlined in the statement the upside risks, and they've also outlined the downside risks. So on balance, the MPC is of the view that for now, a reduction of 300 basis points whilst waiting for new data, right? They stand ready to act. That should explain the strategy going forward. They have also made it clear in the statement that they are committed towards reducing the policy rate further if conditions going forward grant them the opportunity to do so. So no worries at all. Once we see these variables falling in line, you will see the MPC acting appropriately. Bernard, I think, and then you asked a second one about gold price hedging. Yes, we made that point at the last MPC round. That exercise is on course. We are speaking to a number of banks in that regard. I'm sure within the next 1 month or so, we should be able to hedge a portion, of our stock. It is a portion of our stock we are targeting, and we will be happy to make that known when we conclude the effort. Bernard?
Yes, please, Governor, that concludes the second round of questions. So we go into the last round of questions. Let's see if there will be any residuals. The whole idea is to finish by 4 o'clock, make the MPC press briefings very snappy, all done within an hour, and the Governor was right on time by 3 o'clock, catching most of you off guard. So yes, I can't see. Please, if you switch your mic on, I'll be able to. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Emmanuel Bruce from Reuters. The BMI, a unit under Fitch, has cautioned that Ghana and other central banks on the continent who have added gold to their reserves could face some liquidity and price shocks should gold prices begin to drop. I want to find out if this is a risk that has come to the attention of the central bank, and in the immediate term, do you have any plans of shifting strategy, or you still continue to buy gold as reserves? And I also just want to find out if the 300 cut is the biggest cut in the history of the BOE.
We'll have more for you from the Governor of the Bank of Ghana. They have announced some policy measures, and we'll have that for you in subsequent bulletins, especially at 5 when we have Business Live with Pius. But let me take you now to Boko, where the Ghana Armed Forces, they've fully taken control of Boko, Nalerigu, Binduri, and Zibela, stepping up its presence with a firm warning that its new peace enforcement will ensure that residents lay down their arms following escalating violence and deadly reprisals in the region. The military says its mission is to restore law and order through targeted high-impact measures. Now, on your screens now is a copy of a statement released by the Ghana Armed Forces at the start of the deployment. What I want to have you on your screen is a statement that came from the Ghana Armed Forces. Remember, President Mahama also spoke about the matter of being robust in the approach, especially in the conflict areas. Already schools have been closed down. Some people have died in the process, including students, senior high school students. And so that's the reason why we have seen some deployments of military personnel ensuring that there is peace and stability, especially in Boko. And that's the statement that the Ghana Armed Forces issued at the start of that tough deployment that's already underway in Boko, Binduri, Zebela, and of course, Narigu. Now, let's focus on what is happening on the ground. Now, troops have been instructed to act decisively against any threats, whether straight 2 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew. So as we speak right now, residents of Boko, Narigu, Zebela, and of course, Binduru are already in their homes observing the curfew. Head of Public Affairs at the Ghana Armed Forces, Naval Captain Vero Ahem, spoke earlier on NewsX on what the approach really is going forward.
The Armed Forces takes direct instructions from our President and Commander-in-Chief, and the directive is to step up our efforts into a peace enforcement, and that is exactly what we are doing. The discussions alongside, we cannot be distracted to those discussions for now. Mm-hmm. Our aim is to ensure that those creating the problems in the Boko, Binduri, Nalerigu lays down their arms, hand over the weapons, and possibly we could go back to peacekeeping as we were. Let me simplify it. It just means that we are upping our game. It just means that we will dominate the area more than we have done previously. It simply means that people living in the area must abide by the curfews, must lay down their arms and do the right thing. And that is what it simply means.
Well, your troops got there yesterday. So far, I mean, how are they settling in? What has changed since you added the numbers?
A lot has changed. But since it's an ongoing operations, it will be best we hold on for a while before we give you the updates. Giving some updates now may thwart the efforts ongoing. So a lot is ongoing as we speak. Listen, the Ghana Armed Forces, before we deploy every and any time, we have our SOPs that we follow. And abusing citizens is not one of them. And so any of our troops that is found doing that is punished. And so it is not part of our operations. Our operation is to ensure that we protect the lives and property of the persons in Boko, Binduru, and Nalerigu. So if there are any abuses, they should make sure that it is reported to the Ghana Armed Forces and measures will be taken to address such.
Well, let's also listen to President Mahama, who has expressed concern about the resurgence of the Boko conflict, stating that the current fighting is being carried out by individuals who seek to derail the push for lasting peace. The president also directed the Ghana Armed Forces to adopt a more robust approach towards anyone involved in any criminal activities in the area. He was speaking during a courtesy call on him by the overlord of the Gonja Kingdom, Yabonrura, Bikutunu Jewu Swale I.
See, there can be no progress without peace. And I wish to commend you for the peace that reigns in Gonjaland. It is my wish that other areas will learn from the peace that Gonja enjoys. So I take this occasion to appeal to our brothers and sisters, Kusasis and Mamprusis, to give peace a chance. We cannot accept this current situation where students are shot in school and killed. We can't accept the current situation where teachers, public officers have all run away from Boko because they are afraid for their lives. And we have given the mediation efforts to Otumfo, and he has briefed me constantly on the progress that he's been making. And we are almost there. And so the current fighting and killings can only be done by people who want to derail the mediation effort. And so let's give peace a chance. But as the army has announced, I have directed the army to move from peacekeeping to peace enforcement. That means they're going to be a bit more robust with anybody who is involved in criminality. And so let us give peace a chance, not only in Boko, but in Nkwanta and all the other places where we currently are suffering conflict. Your Majesty, the values of unity, patriotism, and compassion are more urgent than ever. We must resist the forces of division and exclusion that undermine our shared heritage. Your Majesty, Gonja land is made up of different people of diverse languages and culture, but we are all united as one. Let us see each other as each other's keeper.
Right, so away from that, let's deal with other stories. Now, 12 companies have so far submitted bids to operate Ghana's new electronic road tolling system. Now, according to the Minister for Roads and Highways, Gov't, speaking at the Government Accountability Series on Wednesday, the Minister confirmed that all the toll collection will be fully electronic with no physical toll booth or barriers on any of the roads that will be affected by the exercise. He further stated that the ministry has submitted proposal for new toll rates to Parliament via the Ministry of Finance for approval.
Sisters, what are we doing now to improve the maintenance regime? Cabinet has given approval for the reintroduction of road and bridge tolls with a focus on modernizing the collection of these tolls. We have done the transition that we want to transition to electronic and automated tolling system, enhance transparency and auditability of revenue inflows, improve user experience and reduce congestion at toll points. The ministry has launched a concessionaire pre-qualification process so far. Public advertisements have been done. A pre-qualification conference was held on the 3rd of July 2025. 12 firms have submitted applications currently under evaluation. Proposed new toll rates have been submitted to Parliament via Ministry of Finance to determine the rates we are going to be charging when the toll is implemented. We are hoping that this will be based on electronic platform. There will be no physical barriers in on any road, and the tolling would only apply to roads that are engineered, meaning that roads that have been fixed. So we don't intend to put tolls on any rough road and other things. But when we make interventions, then we can toll them to raise more money to maintain that and to fix other roads in the country.
Now, responding to concerns raised by the minority regarding alleged bias in the allocation of roles under the Big Push initiative, he said the focus is not on equal distribution but on prioritizing areas with the worst road condition. He dismissed claims that any region had been neglected, stating that all regions have been considered under the Big Push.
Not there when the budget was read. So how would they have understood what was said? So maybe they are acting on rumors because since they were not there. But what the finance minister said was quite clear, and then I explained it here, that the Big Push projects are in two categories. President Mahamad's vision for roads that he has mentioned in the past, which we've been working on, and the additional projects that we have taken on as a result of the nature of those roads, which do not have enough sustainable source of funding. So, for instance, when you take the Western Corridor from Winchi, it doesn't start from Winchi, but the project we are doing is from Winchi to Wa. So, how do you try to share the road from Winchi to Wa amongst everybody? Because, truth be told, the road between or within some regions are better than others. In fact, when I went around, I didn't even see any contractor working in any part of OT region. It was as if it didn't exist. Almost every contractor working in OT was off-site. So there wasn't any project going on. And there are some places that contractors were actively working. Reset means equity as well. So if you have more and others have nothing, we bring them also to a level of sustainability before we share the other ones. So it is not about sharing equally amongst others. It's about addressing the issues. So, but I can guarantee you, Big Push project touches every region, all the 16 regions. So it is not even true that there's a region that has been left out of Big Push. Every region has got a Big Push project. So I can sympathize with my colleagues who were not there when the budget was read that maybe they're acting on rumor.
Well, on the stored Pokuase of Fanko Road project, the minister disclosed that the contractor has received some payments and that the government expects work to resume shortly. He noted that over 300 million cedis has already been paid.
But when the project was awarded, it's multi-million dollar, but there's no dedicated source of funding. So government in the past paid part. The contractor was not on site. And when it started raining this year, you saw the frustration. And rightly so, we know drivers, community members, everybody was unhappy. I met some of them in my office and to hear their frustration. They are not in it alone. We are all in it. Where if I'm going to Kumasi by road, where else would I pass? So I'm a victim as well. So we wanted to take an action. And I must say that as we speak, the contractor has been paid some money currently. And I am expecting that the contractor's activity on site must pick up quickly, because I know we have paid some part of his bills to them. And today, I can confirm that some payment have been made to the contractor working on a Fanko project, and we expect that the activities on that side should pick up, so that at least we can create a safe passage for the motorists whilst we work towards completing the rest of the project. Well, I mean, I know we have paid in excess of 300 million Ghana cedi. Yeah, well, that is the financing model of the Fanko project. This was GOG. And then I must say that some of our colleagues who spoke on the other side were saying the project was not funded. I mean, it was GOG project, but you remember the $750 million Afri-Exim loan. Then they gave the contractors, some of the contractors, part of that money. But because it's a one-off loan, it's not sustainable. That money has been spent, so the project is back to GOG. So we need to find the money and pay them. That is why President Mahama directed that it should be captured as Big Push. So we will prioritize the payment for the completion of the Fanko project the same way Kaswa to Winneba and beyond. Our aim is to make sure that as a loading would, the accruals should be zero. If the accruals become zero, what it means is that people have stopped overloading. No amount of money we collect in terms of penalties on asset loading can ever be enough to repair the damages caused by truckers along on our roads. Intent to do something about this, and then we have recommended a stiffer penalty regime for those who would not abide by the rule and overload. So you will see that the fees and charges that will come up, we are intending to hike the penalty for overloading on our road from 5,000 Ghana cedi to 50,000. You shouldn't be worried. It's just like saying that if you steal, you will be jailed for life. You will say that is high-handedness. But what about considering not stealing? Then you have no reason to spend even a day in prison. So we are increasing the penalties for overloading from 5,000 to 50,000. We hope that will be additional deterrent for people to make sure they work within the rules. As part of this, we also noticed that the overloading part of the overloading regime is complex. Some people go to Temaport, load within the allowable tonnage. When they get out of the port, they park somewhere and then top up the goods. The we are coming up with a regulation. Currently, the penalty is solely on the driver. We intend that the penalty be extended to the owner of the goods. So a portion of the good will be seized, auctioned, and the money put in the road maintenance trust fund.
Right, so let me bring in the Vice President of the Progressive Road Contractors Association, Mr. Hammond Labi, as we seek to get some answers on whether the presentation by the Minister satisfies them. Mr. Labi, good to see you. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Good afternoon.
Right, so the Minister makes the point that from the road fund alone, government owed contractors 7 billion Ghana cedis. And he also makes the point that already the Ministry of Finance has initiated plans to disburse payment to road contractors, but he doesn't give the timeline as to how that will be done. And he's convinced that when that disbursement is done, it will help alleviate liquidity pressure within the road construction sector, restore contractors' confidence in work progress, and strengthen the contractor-government partnership. Does it put a smile on your face?
Oh, yes.
And
yes, that's what every contractor is expecting. Every contractor is expecting to be paid for what the work he has done.
But the point is that since the government took off, has there been any payment at all to some of your members?
There are some people on the
I'm sorry, if you can kindly reposition yourself so we can hear you. It's difficult to follow you.
Yeah, I'm sure some of the contractors who work in the process have been paid. Is it better?
Yes, it's better now. We can hear you.
Okay. So that one, no. By majority of the road contractors, such as the maintenance contractors, are crying for their money. Yes.
And so the challenge with the sector is still existing.
Yes, I know some 4 billion have been released, and then the contractors will be paid, but they have to work on it before. I mean, I'm sure from next week, which will be the first week in August, the contractors will start receiving their money.
All right. So, from the association point of view, are you aware of the modalities that government is using to pay the contractors?
Sorry?
As I'm asking, from your point of view, are you aware of the modalities government is using to pay the contractors?
I think some of the contractors will be paid from the Ministry of Finance. And it is not that they have passed the road fund, the road trust fund bill. So yes, road trust fund bill now have been passed. So now they will start. They will start working on the road fund. But those who are owed at the road fund, there is two categories. We have the road fund and then the Ministry of Finance. So those who will receive their payment from the Ministry of Finance and those who will receive from the road fund.
Right.
The road fund board needs to be put in place. So once the road fund board is in place, I'm sure the payment will start.
The minister says that an assessment of the status of contractual commitment indicates a very large portfolio of existing road projects, active and inactive, estimated to cost about 105 billion Ghana cedis as of December 2024. Is it the case that because payments delayed, that's the reason why we have so many projects either abandoned, halfway done, or yet to start?
Yeah, you work with the media. If you haven't been paid, we'll be going to work. You won't go to work. So the contractor decided to leave site because they haven't received their money. Well, because they haven't received their money, they won't work. So most of them, they borrow the money to do the job. And the bank is actually chasing them. The bank is on their necks. So they are waiting to get their money before they go to site. I bet you, once the contractors start receiving their money, they will go into the site.
And so therefore the contractor cannot be blamed wholly for what is happening?
Sorry?
I'm saying that because of that, you say that the contractor cannot take the ultimate blame for the state of whatever job he or she is working on.
The contractor cannot be. Sorry, I didn't get.
The question is that because of what you're saying, I'm saying that the contractor cannot therefore be blamed for non-completion of work.
No, well, it's like this. Once you complete a stage, you prepare a certificate and you are paid. So, contractor only demanding for what they have worked for, what they have actually worked for. That's what the contractors are looking for.
Okay. Finally, are you happy with the proposed reintroduction of the road toll? Perhaps that will bring in more money.
Of course. It's long overdue. It's long overdue. I'm even proposing this in the money that they have to take from the road toll. The fees must be higher. You know, it's not that 1 cedi and 2 cedi, 50%. We can't live with that. Since the price of things have gone up, and we need to raise the road tolls. We need to raise the fees on the road tolls. It is very, very important that we get that one done.
All right. Ms. Alabi, we'll leave it here for now. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. The minority in Parliament, they are also taking a bite on this matter. They are fighting the Roads and Highways Minister over what they say is his attempt to deny the existence of thousands of kilometers of roads built by the former Akufo-Addo administration. Speaking at the Government Accountability Series, you heard the minister say that he had toured the country and couldn't see the roads the previous government claimed to have built. But responding in Parliament, former Roads Minister Francis Asensio-Boakye told journalists the record exists that the previous government constructed at least 13,000 kilometers of roads.
The minister claims that President Akufo-Addo's widely acknowledged achievement of constructing over 13, he mentioned 10,000, but the original figure is over 13,000 roads. It's a mirage because he did not see any such roads during his recent tour. This is not only disingenuous, but gross attempt to politicize hard facts. Let us put the matter on record, set the record straight. Between 2017 and end of 2024, the Akufo-Addo administration undertook road projects totaling 13,624 kilometers. This is in clear contrast to the 4,636 kilometers executed under the Mills Mahama administration of 8 years. These over 13 kilometers comprise new constructions, asphalt overlays, graveling and graveling, reconstruction and partial reconstruction, upgrading and rehabilitation works. These facts have been presented repeatedly, yet the Honorable Abuja continues to ignore them, perhaps because the unprecedented scale of road development under Nana Addo Akufo-Addo unsettles the current administration.
Right, so let me bring in Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kwaku Asante, who joins us with more from this. So Kwaku, there's this matter of single source method of procurement the minority has also been speaking to. If you can throw some light on it for us.
Well, yes, Elton, according to the NPP minority, at this Government Accountability Series that the minister spoke at, he did speak to the fact that there were certain projects that the government was going to embark on, and the government was going to do so by way of single source procurement. And they say that during his time as ranking member on the Roads Committee, at the time that the NDC were in opposition, and even during his time when he became a leader of the House, he did bastardize the NPP government use or single source procurement for certain limited scope. And they say it exposes what they call his hypocrisy that is now in government and is resorting to the use of single source procurement to the construction of roads and engaging in certain road projects in that ministry.
It's equally troubling that the minister, who, upon assuming office, loudly criticized the Akufo-Addo administration for employing single-source procurement method, is now making a complete U-turn. At today's press conference, Honorable Abuja, who once said, who stated today that once you have engineers' estimates, once the engineers prepare the estimate for road construction, it doesn't matter the procurement method you use. He made this statement today. Is this not double standards? This blatant contradiction not only exposes his double standards, but raises serious questions about his integrity. You cannot demonize a method that others use, only to defend it when you find yourself in the same situation. If the minister now believes that procurement should be guided by technical evaluation, as it should, then he owes the previous administration an unqualified apology for the misleading accusations. To conclude, I want to add that the Ministry of Roads and Highways is a technical institution, not a propaganda arm for political spin. If the Honorable Abuja wants to be taken seriously, he must rise above selective memory and partisan grandstanding. Ghana deserves honest, data-driven, not empty rhetoric.
Well, this is sort of pause. We've got a statement coming in from the presidency on the attack on the JoyNews reporter, Carlos Kaloni. We'll have that statement for you shortly. There's also a development on what the Ghana Education Service is attempting to do regarding final year students who are about to write their WASI, but because of the conflict in Boko, Nalarigu, those schools have been closed. YXS, they've not been told officially what to do. Now, there's a development on that matter. I'll bring that one to you also shortly, together with a government statement on the attack on the JoyNews journalist. But before we do that, let me bring in the Ghana Education Service, because they've got a statement that is putting to rest the confusion that surrounds this decision to close down the school and what it is that WAEC must do next week when the WASI start. Let me bring that statement to you. So that is what you have on your screens now. The management of the Ghana Education Service, they got a statement, and that's what you can see on your screens. They've received reports of violent incident at Boko, Nalarigu, Zuarugu, SHS, which have resulted in the tragic loss of students' lives, injuries, and significant damage to school property. Now, these events, which occurred between the 20th and the 26th of July, 2025, have severely disrupted academic activities and caused deep distress among students. The GES condemns all settings of these acts of violence. They've expressed their sincere condolences to the bereaved families and affected schools. The GES is also currently collaborating with the Ministry of Education, WAEC, regional and district directors, and the leadership of the affected schools to take urgent steps to ensure that SHS-free students are able to sit for the upcoming WASI under safe and fair conditions. Several examination arrangements and also secure centers are currently under consideration. SS1 and 2 students in affected schools, the GES is exploring all viable learning avenues to ensure continuity of lessons whilst campuses remain closed for safety assessment. Further details of this intervention, they say that it will be announced soon. And they thank government and the ministry for their swift evacuation of students to safety, and they will continue to work closely with the security agencies to enhance safety on school campuses. And the reason why this statement is very important is because when we spoke to WAEC yesterday, they are yet to be told that there's some disturbances in Boko, in Nalarigu, and the Zuarugu. The reason why senior secondary schools there have been closed down. We're waiting for the GES to tell them officially so that they can also initiate their own plans to capture the affected students in the upcoming West African Senior Secondary School certificate examination. And GES says that they've taken steps to this, and in due course they will announce the plans to accommodate the students caught in this disturbance is the reason why they are home. There's also another developing story. Remember we brought you that story in the first half of the show. The attack this morning on a JoyNews journalist who was doing his legitimate business of reporting news regarding a demolition exercise. The military pounced on them. They were taken to the national security offices somewhere around the Accra Sports Stadium, detained. In the process, some of the equipment they use in their line of duty got damaged. The presidency is taking an interest in this matter. And the statement that is coming through from the presidency, let me bring that to you right now. And government condemns the attempted arrest of JoyNews reporter and the assault of an eyewitness by a soldier at a demolition site. Such actions, according to the statement, are utterly unacceptable to the John Mahama administration and have no place in our democratic society. The statement says, I am directed by President John Dramani Mahama to unequivocally reaffirm his unwavering commitment to the freedom and safety of journalists. A free and unaffected press is a cornerstone of our democracy, essential for accountability, transparency, and informed public discourse. Government also reiterates a commitment to ensuring the safety and security of all Ghanaian citizens whose rights must always be protected. Government has accordingly directed the Minister for Defense and National Security Coordinator to investigate the incident and ensure that the appropriate punishment is immediately imposed. Appropriate disciplinary and punitive measures must be applied without delay to ensure accountability and prevent future occurrences. And this is signed by Felix Kwachofosu, Member of Parliament, spokesperson to the President and Minister for Government Communication. Of course, we'll take a short break here on the pause and return shortly. Welcome back. This is the pause coming to you live from our studios here in Accra, and of course, live also on our social media pages, X Spaces, YouTube, Facebook, and of course, myjoyonline.com. We brought you some stories. Breaking news this afternoon is that the presidency has condemned the assault on JoyNews journalist Carlos Kaloni and his team that went to cover a demolition exercise. And the statement that we just brought to the presidency is demanding immediate investigation into the matter and action taken against the officers if found culpable. And we are keeping an eye on this matter. But then also in the last few weeks, there's been this back and forth between Ghanaians and Nigerians regarding issue of trade and whether an Igbo man is seeking to establish his kingdom in Ghana. Well, the matter has gotten to the presidency of Nigeria, and of course, Ghana is also taking a keen interest in this matter. Now, Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has dispatched a high-level delegation to Ghana led by the country's foreign affairs minister in what Ghanaian authorities are calling a message of peace to the people. Now, the diplomatic gesture comes in the wake of public outrage and growing tension after the honorary chief of the Igbo diaspora community in Ghana made controversial remarks suggesting he was establishing an Igbo kingdom on Ghanaian soil. Now, his comments sparked social media firestorm with some Ghanaians taking to the streets demanding the expulsion of Nigerians from the country. But following a closed-door meeting with the now contrite Igbo chief and today's dialogue between Ghana and officials from Nigeria, top diplomats, both sides are reaffirming a commitment to peace and mutual respect. Nigeria's authorities have also assured the estimated 500,000 Ghanaians living in Nigeria that they will remain safe and protected.
It is also important to emphasize that we have agreed that we will deepen our community-to-community engagements. We are conscious of our history, that even though we have a historical background with a lot of our ethnic groups having the same heritage and antecedents. You do know, for example, that the Ewe people migrated together with Nigerians, sojourned in Ile-Ife, and continued to the Gold Coast. The Gans have a similar story. So we have very interesting anthropological antecedents, which shows that we are one people. But regardless of that, there have been times in our history where we have had skirmishes. You remember the Aliens Compliance Order, we saw a number of so-called foreigners being removed from Ghana. And then you also recall Ghana Must Go in 1983, where over 1 million Ghanaians were forced out of Nigeria. So we are conscious of that history, which should guide all of us, that if these things are not managed well, it could take us back to certain dark occurrences in our history. That is why we have been demonstrating a lot of maturity and asking that we douse the flames, we show compassion, we should remember that we are one people. Let's always remember that Ghana, as the headquarters of Pan-Africanism, what Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the founder of our country, taught us is that we should ignore artificial boundaries. We are one people. And let us always remember that there is a bigger goal, a bigger Pan-African agenda where we want to form an all-united states of Africa.
Like I said before, I came and I saw with my own two eyes that there were not tires burning on the streets and people with placards everywhere urging Nigerians to be deported. And it speaks to how the government of President John Mahama was able to rise to the occasion. President Mahama and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu are like brothers. Of course, Nigerians were in a very festive mood during the inauguration ceremony of President Mahama. Our president was here and for the occasion, and he gave a very, very impassioned speech, which speaks to the special bond that exists between these two gentlemen, and by extension, the bonds that exist between Ghanaians and Nigerians. So the message, in short, would be that there is no cause for alarm. The situation is being handled quite effectively. We will continue with our stakeholder engagement. We have met some of the dramatist personnel, the people who are in the melt of this crisis. We will continue to meet people, stakeholders across all segments to ensure that the ways and means to continue to douse tensions, to continue to ensure that this is not a situation that repeats itself.
All right, so that's the assurance. We're hoping that this will calm nerves, especially between Ghanaians and Nigerians. Now, let's now focus on another matter that is of interest, especially if you are on a government of Ghana scholarship and you are facing possible cancellation of your studies with your host university and possibly maybe deported home. Now, there's some good news coming from government because government has committed some $1 million United States dollars towards settling part of its debt to the University of Memphis in Tennessee, United States of America. Registrar of the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat, Alex Kwabena Asafoye, gave the assurance following recent reports that 181 Ghanaian students on scholarship in the US-based university are at risk of academic dismissal and possible visa revocation due to a reported $3.6 million in unpaid tuition and housing fees. Mr. Asafoye says the Secretariat is actively working to resolve the discrepancies.
University of Memphis, we are on course. Students will not be deported. I give you that assurance. Even I think we are in the process of paying them some money this week. We are in the process of paying some money to them this week. No. So because the audit is ongoing, we are not paying all. We already paid $400,000 to them. We owe them 3.6, so remaining 3.2. We are paying them $1 million. If that is go through, now the money is at controller. It moves from there to Bank of Ghana and the transfer is made to watching.
Well, the registrar also addressed the overall status of Ghanaians in Ghana's international scholarship programs and launched the 2025 local scholarship scheme.
Bits and pieces of the bill, where the Scholarship Authority bill, is clearly provided for in the bill that for courses or programs that are available in Ghana, we are not going to give foreign scholarships for them. It's time to also build our local institutions here. We usually want to travel out for education under the guise of they don't have these equipments here. This university has all the necessary equipment. They are well equipped. They are advanced. They have this. If you don't empower the local institutions, how are they going to raise revenue to also build their capacity? So it becomes a vicious cycle. You keep just rolling within one circle and you don't make any progress. So there should, in law, we call something, there must be an end to the litigation. At some point, we must take our decisions. And that is how come we came to that conclusion that we need to prioritize our local institutions. If the course is available here, why not go? Because we owe UK to a tune of about 40 million pounds. Assuming that is almost close to 1 billion Ghana cedis. Assuming this debt was owed local, or if you like, institutions within our country. When we pay these debts, they get more revenue. And the more revenue they get, they can now expand their infrastructure. They can now get all these equipments that we are saying they lack, and for which reason we want to travel outside. I'm delighted to announce the opening of the application for the local tertiary scholarship for the year 2025-2026. As part of our continuous effort to promote transparency, equity, and national development through education, this year's application process has been designed to be efficient, inclusive, and entirely digital. This year's scholarship will be awarded to 5,000 qualified applicants. The breakdown of the awards are as follows. 2,000 will be awarded to brilliant but needy students across the various tertiary institutions, which will be administered by the various faculties, departments, and units in various tertiary institutions, with a technical committee which will be set up by the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat to play an oversight role.
Well, so for folks on government scholarship, well, that should come with some relief for you, especially if you are owing. But let's take a break here on the pause and return to deal with other stories before we wrap up. Right, so before we go, the United States and the European Union have arrived at a trade agreement after months of tense negotiations. But now the deal is done. Critics are saying that Europe caved to President Trump and is getting the short end of the stick. Now, to understand why, let's turn to Deutsche Welle correspondent Emily Leshner in Berlin. So, Emily, why are critics saying this is a bad deal for the EU?
Well, the first and main reason is that 15% baseline tariff that will apply to around 70% of EU goods coming into the U.S. At the very start of these tariff negotiations, Europe was hoping and expecting that it would be able to secure a tariff rate that was in the single digits and really maintain what it had before the second Trump term, tariffs that were around 2.5% to 4%, depending on the product. And then it seems at some point that Europe and the European Commission lost sight of this goal. President Trump threatened at one point 50% tariffs, and then Europe hoped maybe it could walk away with at least a 10% tax if it didn't seem like staying in the single digits was possible. Then Trump threatens 30% if a deal wasn't made by August 1st. And that's when Europe decides that 15% is probably the best that they can get. So in the eyes of many experts, academics, and even EU heads of state, Europe did cave. You know, the position is that the EU Commission is that 15% is better than the 30 that was looming on the horizon. But others see 15 is not much better than the 2.5% to 4% tariff rate that Europe had in the past. So that is one major reason is the agreed tariff rate. The other is that Europe also promised the U.S. that it would purchase $750 billion of fossil fuel energy over the next 3 years. That amounts to $250 billion per year or so, which is way more than Europe is even currently importing from the U.S. It's a fraction of it. Last year, Europe spent around $70 billion importing U.S. crude, LNG, and coal combined. So again, it's a fraction of what they're promising every year. And then on top of that, finally, EU policy is investment is shifting towards renewables. So this is just not the direction that Europe wants to go in. And Europe also promised $600 billion worth of investments in the U.S. And this comes at a time when the European economy is struggling, and a lot of leaders think that kind of investment could be better spent at home. So a couple of different reasons that people are not very happy in Europe with the trade deal as it stands.
So why would the EU promise something that looks quite unlikely to deliver?
Well, some analysts have criticized EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen for promising investments and energy purchases when they say the power to do so doesn't even sit with the Commission, let alone just the sheer amount of the investment and the purchases that were promised, which now amounts to over €1 trillion. So why would the EU agree to do this? It's also possible that von der Leyen understands that ultimately this is a hard thing to enforce, and that in the past, the U.S. Has let other countries off the hook for not meeting purchasing commitments that were agreed upon during a trade deal. And one really good example of this is what happened a few years ago with the U.S. trade war with China. China agreed to buy an additional $200 billion in U.S. exports. When they came to a deal, they had a 2-year deadline to do so. And when time ran out, China had only paid around 58% of what it had promised, and there was no penalty. So some are saying that von der Leyen's deal was short-sighted, and then others say that she's playing the long game, that she's placating the Trump administration now with the expectation that things most likely will change in the future. They've changed a lot up until this point. And I mean, even as we speak, there are some whisperings that this deal could even end up falling through because both sides are discovering that they're interpreting certain things in the deal differently from one another. So things are clearly in a constant state of flux. And that could be one reason why the EU felt fine promising some things that it probably couldn't deliver.
But again, is there anything in this deal that benefits the European Union?
Good question. I mean, some products won't get hit with any tariffs. There's certain chemicals and aircraft parts, as well as some agricultural products. So it's good news for the aeronautical industry and for food producers right now. The EU is also trying to lock in a 0% tariffs for a few other products like wine and spirits. And, some analysts are saying that the end to all the uncertainty is good for markets. That's one benefit to the deal. And it's also good for investors' confidence. We did see the markets gain a bit after the initial announcement. But again, that could change very quickly, as we've seen. And one industry or sector that might have gotten a better deal with this is the European car industry, because now tariffs on cars have gone down from the 27.5% rate to the baseline at 15. So that is one small upside for the European car industry out of this.
Right. Emily Leshner with our partners DWTV in Berlin, Germany. Well, that's our show for today. For more stories, log on to our website, myjoyonline.com stories. We have there Joy News reporter assault government orders investigation condemns attack soldiers force Magdan CEO others to kneel at gunpoint. Joy News reporter recounts assault. And of course, former MEF CEO stopped at airport over unauthorized travel attempt whilst on OSP bill. So you want to go on myjoyonline.com and read all those stories. LTLs is up next on Joy News. My name is Elton Bobby. Whatever you are up to in hours ahead, I hope it's profitable. Enjoy your evening and take care.